Welcome to Chewing the Cud, your front row seat to life on Halton Farms, here in the heart of Cheshire. I'm Karen Halton, farm owner, along with my husband, Farmer Tom.
And I'm Dave Kirby, herd manager, ready to tell you what really happens behind the barn doors.
From caring for over 800 crossbred cows to fine-tuning our daily routines, each episode brings you the stories, the challenges and joys of modern dairy farming. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just curious about where your milk comes from, there's something here for everyone.
So grab a seat in the barn, settle in and get ready to chew the cud with us, because there's always more to discover in the world of dairy.
Halton Farms, British Farming Awards Dairy Farmer of the Year.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Halton Farms Chewing the Cud. So today, I don't know if I'm apprehensive or nervous. I'm probably a little bit nervous because I've got Dave with me as usual, but we've also got Leigh Fletcher, our foot trimmer. Okay, which is great because I'm really looking forward to interviewing Leigh. You know, he's a crucial part of our business, keeping our cows all mobile and happy and healthy. But these two just have so much banter when they're doing cows' feet. And I think maybe because they're full of banter, they'll probably going to go really microphone shy now, hopefully.
Probably.
Between them, Lee's probably going to the cat's going to have his tongue now, you watch. Yeah. He's not going to say anything.
Not very confident behind the mic, are you?
I'm very confident behind the mic.
Like Dave, he's not got the face for telly. So I always say. So, come on. Right, seriously. Okay, want to welcome Leigh. Leigh is Leigh Fletcher, who owns a business called LMF Hoofcare. So Leigh is a guy who goes around to farms with his car and his trailer and he trims cows' feet. So we're going to hear a bit about Leigh. So first of all, I want to know, Leigh, tell us, who is Leigh Fletcher? Where was he born and bred? What's his background?
Well, Leigh Fletcher is a farmer's son that was born in Derbyshire. Parents rented a farm where we kept some suckler cows, but parents started to have a full-time job. And then we eventually got a council farm up in Cheshire and moved up here with my parents. I went to Receive College. We bought a herd of 80 dairy cows. It's now increased to 320, going up to 420 this summer.
Wow.
And yeah, then myself finished college, got a job on a couple of farms being a herdsman. And then went back home to work, and then going around Cheshire Farm Holdings was a grant to go on a professional hoof trimming course. So I attended that, looked after our own cows. In doing so, attending this course, I met a couple of vets on it who I kept in touch with, and there was a position available, a part-time position available at their vet practice, and they offered me the job. We just had a baby boy, Harvey. So just needed a bit more money in the family.
Yeah. And
I took the position. And if I'm going to be honest about it, I didn't like hoof trimming at all. I used to hate it when the full-time trimmer at this vet practice would ring me up and say, Leigh, we need you such and such a day next week. And I'd be like, oh, God, I really don't want to go out trimming. I enjoy working at home.
Wow.
And then eventually the trimmer, that was full-time, moved on, and the vet practice offered me a full-time position. And I decided to take it and thought, well, if I'm going to be doing it full-time, I really need to get into this. And I did more reading about it and got in touch with different trimmers and went out with them and fell in love with it, really.
Just got some more experience.
And then,
so, that's something I didn't know about you. I never knew that you'd been a herdsman.
Yeah.
So when you're telling Dave how to do his job, you're actually fully qualified to do so. I never realised that.
I come here every other week and I get a message around about 9 o'clock at night time from Dave saying, thank you so much for today, Leigh. You're such a wise man. I've learned so much off you.
It's true, Dave.
It brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, is that why you got into herdsman? Is that why you got into foot trimming, because you're a failed herdsman?
Yeah, was this an alternative career?
Sometimes you can be too good at something, you get promoted to another job, Dave. And I think that's where I am right now.
Right, interesting. Tell us though, so you say you do this job. I mean, you work a lot of hours, don't you? You work, what, 6-7 days a week sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
And you go like off to Scotland.
I do, yeah.
You do loads.
Yeah.
So, but you just said then that you got asked to go in. So when you'd qualified and the vets used to say, can you give us a day this week? What was it that you weren't liking about doing that?
I think it's because I enjoyed working at home so much on our own farm and then just going out away from what was the norm for me.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's that aspect of going out your comfort zone, you know, doing something that you're not used to doing.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult as well. I remember when I was a relief, when I was working for Congleton, and I think when it's not your job and you're just going in on the odd occasion, it's not quite the same as if you're taking ownership over it. I'm guessing maybe that was very similar for you as well.
You're going onto a farm working with animals that you've never worked with before. You're meeting people you've never met before. And I'm actually quite a shy person.
What? When did this happen?
When it first comes to meeting people, like, yeah. So,
really?
Yeah, people are always shocked by that.
Yeah. We'll ask a few other farmers we know, shall we, where he goes.
Yeah.
Going back to the serious stuff. Do you still trim the cow's feet at home?
No, I don't actually. No.
That
Have they got a herdsman who does that?
I'm going back to do it.
Have you got a good herdsman though that does it? Is that
my
right?
My brothers, yeah.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah, my brothers do it, yeah.
Fair enough.
So, but yes, I am. Funny enough, I actually spoke with my dad and brothers at the weekend, and yes, going to be going back very soon to trim the cow's feet. So yeah, quite look forward to that.
Brilliant.
So,
our industry goes through a lot of we have a lot of instances where it's up and down with people and finding people and training people and stuff like that. Would you say, as an industry, what sort of challenges have you got?
I think in Hoofcare, the challenges are is finding someone that's got the correct qualifications to do the job. Because I feel like anyone feels they can pick up a cow's foot and trim it, and it's really not that. And a lot of people pick up a cow's foot and think, I need to make it look pretty. Well, that's not how you trim a cow's foot. When you trim a cow's foot, it's for a function. It's got to function, not to make a foot look pretty. Like, I remember you telling me there was a significant figure in this industry, in the Hoofcare world. And what did he say to you? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a while ago. I was sat next to him at a dinner at a conference. And I think at the time we were using you, because we've used you for a few years now, haven't we?
It'll be, it'll be 2 years now. Karen, yeah.
He did say, in all the people out there trimming, there is actually, in his opinion, only a handful of people who are actually doing it properly and are properly qualified and really know what they're doing. And probably that's really good what you're saying. Yeah, it's not about looking pretty. It's, probably, look at shoes that, when you have all these shoes that are supposed to be really comfortable. I mean, they don't look like Louboutins, do they?
No.
Let's face it.
Yeah.
And your foot is one of the most important parts of your body.
Absolutely.
And especially for a cow. They stand on their legs. They do so much work, don't they, on their feet?
They do. Yeah.
And then there's all those things that we throw into them as an industry and as a farmer. Sometimes we look at walkways, we build sheds and we think we're doing the right thing. But then what we're kind of doing most of the time is trying to make things work with the infrastructure we've got. And some of us are not always putting the cow first. So if we're putting lots of turns in and narrow passageways, they all have massive complications for cows, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. And I would say that's a huge part in the Hoofcare world is the environment the animal lives in to keep mobility at 100%.
Yeah.
What would you say are like some of the key things, to have in place to...
So I think Karen's just kind of hit the nail on the head, but yeah, putting it out there, comfort beds. Mm-hmm. So sand beds. Mm-hmm. If you can't get sand beds, mattresses.
Yeah.
Rubber in the parlour for when they're standing. Rubber in the collecting yard for where they're standing. Not too many cows standing.
Yeah.
Cows like to be laid down. When they're laid down, they're chewing the cud. They're making milk.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing cows, shouting at cows. Let the animal move at her own pace. There's no need to push her. She'll always just move at her own pace. She knows where she's going. She's got a routine. She does it every single day.
Yeah.
On this farm, 3 times a day.
And that's something we always say, and that's why we like it stress-free. So when you hear, there isn't noise and shouting and people moving the cows, because it's only like people, if you've got a bunch of people and you're trying to move them, when people herd people around in like concerts and things, people always get pushed around and squashed and trod on. And, when you've been in somewhere like that where there's a busy environment, you get your feet trod on. So, we say lameness. So we use the word lameness a lot. And I think lameness is quite a harsh word. Maybe I notice you're using the word mobility, and it is about mobility. We take mobility really, really seriously on this farm, and that's why we pay your extortionate rates to come in here every other week and routinely trim the cows. Because what are you doing here? Just explain a little bit, because both Dave does cow's feet as well. So as a herdsman, he does the feet. And then we have you. Some people are probably thinking, well, why are you having somebody from outside doing cow's feet as well?
Okay, so here on this particular farm, we trim a cow's feet before she goes dry. Now, the term dry means before she's about to calve. So a cow will have a rest of, just correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but 6 to 8 weeks before calving.
Yeah.
We call it the maternity. The
cow's going to the maternity. That's brilliant. Where they are nice big straw beds, comfort is key. So we trim the cow's feet then, so they're going to calve down healthy. A cow loses so much energy when she calves, so we want her to be fit and healthy and going to that feed front and eating plenty of food, drinking plenty of water. If for some reason we do get a lame cow, then she's not going to be getting up and eating. She's not going to be restoring those fat pads back in her feet that she's lost due to calving. And then, so that's the pre-dry trim. And then we do a post-calf trim. So this is between 60 and 80 days that we do. And that's roughly when this farm will be serving the cows. So when I say serving the cows, they'll be getting those cows back in calf again to produce milk in the next lactation. And then about 100 days later again, mid-lactation, we'll trim them again just to keep them on the feet healthy.
You just pay attention, Dave.
Yeah, he's learning, isn't he?
Did you write him that down before?
I sent him a little note.
I think if we just rewind back a little bit, I think I was on that advice to do that one.
One thing I'd say is that we're doing really well on mastitis, and it's because of the lack of stress, because we're creating stress-free environments. And when I first came, we were doing the feet in that little maternity. And it weren't ideal because we were having to move them around in quite a tight area. And I think that goes back to
what we said before, Dave, about routine. Cows go through that race where the foot bath is. So that's another thing we do for feet here. The cows go through a foot bath 3 times a day. Yeah. And that's going through a bath of water and a chemical to keep on top of cow health.
Yeah.
And I just need to clarify as well. So we've done a podcast on this, and we talked about, because I mentioned, you've probably not heard it, but, and I'm gutted if you've not heard it, Leigh, because you should be listening to our podcast. Why do you not know this? Okay.
Well, I might know it. You haven't got to the
now
point
he's looking scared. About years ago, we used to just have like a little foot bath tray that we got out.
That's right. I did listen to that one.
You sure? And, a bit like the cornflake thing, when I put the dog poo on the cornflakes to try and get my point across, I had to get Tom to put his foot in the water from the foot bath. So this is how we have to make the point. So, and then we've obviously gone to a proper all singing, all dancing job now. Can we just clarify though, because again, the terminology in this industry. So for the people out there that farm, you're going to get it and you know what we mean. But for the people that have nothing to do with farming, you could be quite shocked when we say crush. Crush sounds terrible. It sounds like you're crushing the cow.
Let's call it, Americans call it a shoot.
A shoot?
Yeah, CHUTE.
Right.
So a cow shoot. Because that terminology, like you just said, a crush sounds horrific.
It does.
Yeah.
I think we should call it like a pod or something. I don't know. You put it into the foot pod. I don't know. But just explain, because that's your piece of equipment.
It is.
It's a very high-tech piece of equipment.
Yes.
Give us some idea of what that piece of equipment is.
When the cow comes into the chute, the back kick comes behind her to secure her. And then where she places her head, there's 2 bifold doors that just clamp her. Not clamp her hurting her, there's plenty of room, but it just holds that cow still, stops her from harming herself, stops the hoof trimmer from harming himself with the cow. And then this chute, raises up, and a belly band So that's a rubber band that comes under a belly, that raises beneath a belly, and then there's 2 arms that have a squeezing effect on the side of a belly. Now that's purposely built because a squeezing effect, like yourselves, when you're cuddled, you feel loved, and that releases good endorphins and it calms the animal down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
didn't know
really
that.
well been thought about, and it goes back to the days of, who's the lady, Karen, that did the handling facilities?
What's
her name?
Temple Grandin.
Yeah, Temple Grandin,
Temple Grandin. I've seen her talk live.
I've met her.
A few years ago.
I've never seen her talk,
amazing.
but I've met her. Oh, wow.
Amazing woman, yeah.
So she figured out that this squeezing effect releases good endorphins on the animals. It keeps them calm, and they know they're loved, and they know they're in a safe environment. Yeah. So once that takes place, there's then hooks in each corner of the cow to lift all 4 feet up, but I only lift 1 foot up at a time.
Yeah.
I do, and I treat the animal.
But could you lift all 4 up at once? Or is it not built for that? It's just...
My chute isn't built for that.
Right.
Some chutes are. So the chutes that are built for it have 2 belly bands, and one's placed under the udder and one's placed under the belly. I particularly don't like the one that goes in front of the udder. Other trimmers like it. It's preference, you know. And you know, there's no right or wrong in this kind of thing.
Okay.
So so I pick 1 foot up at a time and trim it out, put it back down again, and then move around that way. And the cow gently comes back down again, down to floor, ground level. The kick plates go out, the belly band drops, and we open those gates, and she goes straight out the front entrance, and we open the back entrance back up again for the next cow to come in.
And I've got to say, because it's right opposite my office window, and the other side is my calf pens. Yes. So when you turn up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm feeding calves, you set up and the first cows out of the milking parlour goes along and straight in. And you do hear some commotion sometimes with them when they first get onto that platform, because it's like metal on the floor,
it is metal,
isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Why do you not put rubber flooring in them?
So my previous chutes, and a lot of chutes are made with rubber flooring. My previous chutes did have a rubber floor, but they became slippy.
Oh.
So by having the metal grid in it, cows don't slip around as much, and they're a lot,
Okay.
they feel a lot safer going onto that platform than they do a rubber slippy one.
Okay, because
how many cattle traders do you know that have a rubber flooring?
Well, they don't, but that's what I'm going to contradict. So we moved the horses in a cattle wagon,
okay,
which is like a stroke horse box. So originally it was my horse box, it turned into a cattle wagon, and it's for horses. Everything's rubber. So the back ramp's rubber, the inside is rubber. And when we take calves anywhere to market, or when we sell them, you can look on the camera in the cab and they'll be lying down in the back. And when you get there, you drop the ramp and they don't want to get up. They're all dead chilled. And the same with the cows. They load so much easier.
Yeah.
And they just like walk up the rubber ramp because 1, it doesn't make a clangy noise. And 2, it's almost like they've got good grip and feel safe, I suppose. At Townsend, when we're weighing, we've got some weigh scales. So it's a similar thing as to what your chute does, but they go in there and stand on a platform. That's rubber going up to it.
Okay.
And rubber when they're in there. I had it all rubberised. Luckily, my youngest nephew's got a horse box building business. Oh. So he does all that stuff. So I get all his offcuts.
Oh, brilliant. That's nice.
And use them around the farm.
Yeah. You can't beat a bit of rubber, can you,
no.
Karen?
Yeah, so I was just interested as to why you didn't have that on the floor of it. But I was going back to, I don't hear too much commotion. You'll get the odd cow, but that'll be the drama queens we've got anyway, because there are some drama queens in this herd, no matter what you do.
So I was just talking about the crush. Originally, when I came,
it's not a crush, Dave. Remember the chute, Dave.
So I was just talking about the chute, and originally when I came, you were trimming the cow's feet in the maternity, which is quite a small area.
In an area where the cows aren't used to going into. Yeah, that's correct, isn't it?
So I felt like it was causing a bit too much stress, and we had a conversation and said, where can we put this chute where it's going to create less stress for the cows? So we ended up doing it at the end of the race, where the cows naturally go every single day.
3 times a day.
3 times a day. So they weren't panicking. They were just coming in like it was just a normal part of the day, and then they were coming into the chute. And that's, for me, has been a major thing for us, because on the back of that was probably about 5 months ago. So we've not had 1 case of mastitis in 5 months. Yeah. So all these things add up to that one.
Yeah. So
outcome.
I was thinking this morning, this is how chilled out these cows are when we are trimming, right? So in the morning, we'll start trimming.
Yeah.
Tom will be scraping the passageways out and feeding, but just keeping those cows back from going into the shed. What's the only thing that's up is a bit of rope, isn't it? A bit of rope. There's no gate we put across. We put a bit of rope. And
It's
those
not even electrified or anything. No.
And the cows, they don't get fussed wanting to go under it, wanting to go over it. They just stand there and they're nosy on us. Oh, I had that on this morning, didn't I? I was trimming her front right foot this morning. What cow? What was her number? And she was literally trying to kiss me. She's female. I get it. But she was looking. Yeah, you know, Karen. I was grinding away. She was trying to lick me or trying to kiss me. What she like? And,
bless her.
It's probably because they're used to eating fodder beet. You kind of look a bit like a big fodder beet.
What a compliment, Dave. Yeah, as I said in the beginning, this is going to be tricky, this one. No. You two banter all the time. When you're doing the foot trimming, you're that busy bantering. Do you get much done? How many cows do you do here, Leigh?
Well, to be fair, we've got through 90 cows this morning.
All right.
A lot.
Any other farm, you're probably doing 190. But because you two are bantering that much. Well done. No, that's a lot of cows.
Well, it's all about enjoying your job, isn't it? At the same time.
It is. And can I just go back to, because what I'd started to say was that you come in and do the routine stuff. And then Dave, we also have our own foot shoot here and a special little area where you do anything in between time. So we just talk us through, because we take this so seriously. Yeah. We have a WhatsApp group as well, don't we?
Yeah. So anything that's spotted as having bad mobility will be put onto the WhatsApp group. And we have a rule on the farm that cow has to go into the chute within 24 hours. The foot needs to be picked up and we need to sort it out. So we do. That's what we do. We sort them out within 24 hours. If I have any concerns or I'm not 100% certain on what's wrong with the cow, I have a good relationship with Leigh and I just ring him up, which I did the other day. And we went on a video, FaceTime. And we managed to sort that cow's foot out, which is great. Yeah. And that's why it's so important to have these great relationships with the people coming onto the farm, so that you feel like you can just ring them up whenever and sort issues out.
This when you says about the challenges, Karen, in the hoof trimming world, like, I know there's other trimmers out there that are willing to do that video call, but I like to have that relationship with my farms, that I can talk to them over a video and explain to them what's going on with an animal and, you know, where they should or shouldn't go.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to make your job easier as well, because if we're doing that in between times you're coming here, then we could be making a job worse. Absolutely, if there's something Dave's not sure about. I mean, Dave, how did you become doing foot trimming?
Well, I've always picked feet up. What I find when you're dealing with cows' feet on farm as a herdsman, you're usually picking the ones up that are very noticeably lame.
Yeah.
I wasn't like 100% confident, and when Leigh came, he has basically taught me everything I know, really, and he's been really good. So I pair up with him when he's
oh my God, now the brotherhood's getting a bit too deep.
What you're not seeing is now Dave's not actually laughing, he's crying.
He's also stroking your knee. What's that about?
No, on a serious note, Leigh has taught me everything I know, and it's been really good because I've trimmed with him probably for now, I don't know, it's a while, isn't it?
Well, Dave,
6-7 months.
What is today?
Yeah, but
Dave, what's today?
What is
it's
today?
My 1 year anniversary at Halton Farms.
Dave has been at Halton Farms for 12 months.
Yeah,
today we've known each other 12 months. Yeah. So I would say, it's probably 11 months, because I think that first couple of visits, you was very busy getting to know the place.
Yeah.
And then, you came and showed me a love for picking feet up, and you've enjoyed it since, haven't you, really?
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's...
and you've learnt loads.
And I've learnt so much, but I'm still not like, I'm still not the bee's knees like Leigh.
We'll be right back. Just need to round up the herd.
Going back to the thing where we call it lameness, we take it so seriously that we also have the vet come probably about every 6 weeks.
Yes.
He does what he calls mobility scoring. So he watches all the cows come out. He stands in the same place every time, watches the cows come out.
Shall we describe what mobility scoring is? Shall we? So a lot of listeners won't know what mobility scoring is, will they?
No.
So mobility scoring is a lameness score, really. I don't want to call it a lameness score, but that's the easiest way of explaining it. So a cow is scored 0 to 3. So 0 is no impairment at all. Fine, cow's walking fantastically well. 1, she's walking a little bit gingerly, so you can tell she's a little bit off, but you can't pick which foot it is. 2, strides aren't quite complete, and what I mean by that is when a cow's walking, the back foot should always land where the front foot was. Mm-hmm. And you can pick out which leg she's lame on. And a score 3 is where a cow is pretty lame, which we don't have any score 3s at this farm, should I just say?
Okay.
A score 3 is a cow not keeping up with the rest of the herd. Her head's bobbing up and down. She's in a lot of pain. Now, this rarely happens on farms, and it's just a score. And yeah, fortunately, we're very lucky to not have any here.
And we have to take into account as well, you know, they get arthritis, don't they, as well, sometimes, cows?
Absolutely.
And it can be arthritis related. So when we're looking at a score 1 and 2, it can be a touch of arthritis. It's not often, you know, it's not always under the foot. But Tom always likens it to, if you think about it, you go and sit in the Trafford Centre for the day and watch all those people walking around the Trafford Centre, okay? There's more lame people going around that Trafford Centre than what cows we've got on this farm. Because it's a comparison he's always used. Yeah. And it's true.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, we work so hard, don't we, as an industry, not to have lame cows.
So, Leigh, what are you looking for when the cow comes into the chute?
So when a cow comes into the chute, I'm looking at any defects on the cow's hoof. So if that's any separation in the horn, any bruising in the sole, any dermatitis in the typical spot, top of the heel. I'm more looking at a cow before she enters the chute, when she's walking down the race, see if she's limping, going back to that mobility score of 0 to 3. I'm constantly doing that in my head when I see a cow walk.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay, so what do you think farms could be doing better as well in terms of mobility?
It's not necessarily what farms can do better, what farms can do more of. So I think if a farm's already got a hoof trimmer going in, well, that's that crossed off. So I think it comes down to the environment then of making the cow's environment very comfy.
Yeah.
So going back to what we said earlier on about the comfort of beds, sand beds is the go-to for me. If not, mattresses. And then just keeping cows in smaller groups. Don't allow bullying amongst cows.
Yeah.
So quite often a young heifer, first time calving, goes into the herd, and if she doesn't go into her own pen, she's going out with all these older ladies and they'll bully her at the fence. She'll go to eat and she'll be standing in 1, 2, 3 spot, and the old girl will knock her out of the way. And that's just life, and that happens with all animals.
Well, it happens with kids at school. It's like a hierarchy, isn't it?
Yeah,
I suppose. And that heifer has to learn the pecking order to a point. But
I really do think we don't understand cows enough on that side of things, because they are just like us.
Yeah.
They are.
They're very emotionally, what would you say? Not educated's the wrong word, but they are very intelligent, emotionally intelligent is the word I'm looking for. And I don't think we give them enough credit for that sometimes. But they are very emotional creatures and very inquisitive.
Yeah. So going back to the heifer entering a herd, put her in a pen with other heifers that have calved in like the last 12 months.
Yeah.
She's going into a group that she's probably always been brought up with, like fed as a baby calf with.
Yeah.
You know, and then introduce them slowly into the herd.
But what we do with ours is when they come back from the heifer unit up the road, they come back in here onto the yard and they share some yard space pretty well. There's like a little fence between them, but hardly anything, a little gate with the low group. So the older cows are around them, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then when they go 6 to 8 weeks off having the calf, they're in the dry pen, in the straw pen with a mix of cows and other heifers. So they kind of tend to mingle in a bit, don't they, there? Yeah. They find a bit of a pecking order there. So by the time they've gone through the system of the calving and into the 15 group, they're with older cows all the time.
And they're with them lows that they've been stood next to at the feed fence, because them lows are going into the calving box as well.
Yeah.
Then they'll go into the highs with them same cows.
Yeah. So we find we don't really get a lot of that, do we, or any much bullying like that. And we'd be on it. I mean, a lot of farms run separate heifer groups, and it's something we looked at a long time ago, but we don't feel we have a problem to address. We could cause a problem, if anything.
So when we talk about highs and lows, the groups, that's the highs are the cows that are given the most milk, the most yield at that particular stage in lactation. Usually it's when they've calved.
Yeah.
And then the lows are the ones that are slowing off on the milk because they've got in calf, aren't they? They're coming up to drying off. They're not on quite as high a protein diet, so it's better for the heifers.
Yeah.
And that's why you tend to do that with them, isn't it?
Yeah. Just touch on something you said there. You said farms, if they've already got a foot trimmer coming in, then they're all right. But how often should you be visiting farms, really?
I think I said at the start, didn't I, that a cow should be trimmed before she goes dry, mid-lactation, and post-calving, 60 to 80 days.
Yeah.
So those times, so once a month is, most farms calve all year round. So then you're doing them cows at the right intervals. Some cows are classed as autumn and spring block calvers. They'll calve all at one time a year. So as long as they're all trimmed at those relevant intervals, then yeah.
Because I know of a lot of farms where they just simply get a foot trimmer in when there's about 20 cows at a lane, which is just beyond me.
Which again is what I said, is that's an education point where we should be explaining to those particular farms that we shouldn't be having the lame cows. We should be coming doing 20 routine trims.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be having lame cows. And again, it does go back to that educational.
Yeah.
And do you have that conversation with the farmer? If you've noticed that pattern where you're going when there's just issues, do you have that conversation and say, oh, well, we wouldn't have these issues if I came once every month or once every 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's correct, Dave. Yeah. So when a farm rings me up, a new farm, I'll quite often just go and introduce myself and see what their system's like. Have a quick scan over the cows, see if they've got any mobility issues, and then ask them what the calving pattern is. And I'll explain to them that this is what we're going to do going forward. And farmers are shocked at first, like we're probably doing more cows than they've ever trimmed, but then they start seeing the results and they realise I'm more than worth it.
And what kind of results can we see from good mobility?
So you've got a healthy animal, haven't you? You've got a cow that's getting up, she's eating, so a cow that's milking very well. So she's on the correct platform to get in calf again.
Your fertility is a massive thing.
Yeah, a huge thing. Yeah, and you guys know this. Anything that upsets a cow, she never really actually gets to that peak again.
No.
So if an animal's lame, she's never actually reaching that ultimate point in her lactation, like where she's going to give her. And sometimes I'll get farmers say to me, well, she's still milking well.
Yeah.
And my answer is, imagine how well she could be milking.
Yeah.
Had she not been lame.
So here you go, I can do this. So we talk about money and about Leigh being expensive and things, obviously we're joking, but there is a little bit of an underlying
many things said in jest, Cass.
Yeah, many a true word spoken in jest, as they say. So looking on the AHDB site, which is our levy board, so the Agricultural Horticultural Development Board, I wish they'd make that a bit simpler. The average cost of an incidence of lameness in terms of treatment cost, loss of yield, and the potential for the shortened productive life of the cow may be in the region of £330, which at current levels equates to nearly £15,000 for an average sized herd. That's quite frightening, because that's probably actually is more than we pay you.
Yes.
So that's good to know.
Yeah.
We don't want him putting his rates up because it'll be about the same then. But if your rates stay where they were, if your rates stay where they are, we're just about covering our costs with him, Dave.
£15,000 a year. Wow.
Yeah.
And
for an average
on the
herd.
average farm.
Yeah.
Some will be a lot worse than that.
Yeah. So, and they're sort of saying like the general causes. So it's poor quality floors in cattle housing. So that's like, environment, the concrete floors. The cows being forced to stand for too long. So that's where you say about those comfortable beds. And we go and look, don't we, at lying times. We measure lying times.
Oh, superb.
We look at them you sometimes after milking, they'll come in, they'll eat, and then you go in that shed and we take pictures because there's so many cows lying down.
That's right.
And what a beautiful sight that is to see them all chilled out and lying down. Poorly designed and uncomfortable cubicles, ineffective hoof trimming, which obviously isn't anything to do with you guys. Poor nutrition, that's another one. That's something, Steph, and I know sometimes we go the other way because with the heifers, sometimes they've got such good nutrition that some of the Viking red cows, they get really long feet really early on in their life. And we're like, before now we've had to trim heifers' feet because they've got too long, but that's just, I don't know, that must be something to do with their genetics and the diet we're feeding them.
We know ourselves that, some things we grow better than others, And
I think things like as well with, like we talk about in the parlour and cows coming out and going back out along the race and round to the shed, if we've got too many turns, is it white line you get?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it's the separation of the white line.
Yeah,
so from
and that's
the sole horn, from the wall horn, it's the
Yeah.
laminae that detaches.
So there's all those little things. It's not just as simple as it. It's not all muck and magic, as they say. You can't just build a parlour, put some cows in it, build a shed in a field and away you go. It's not like that.
No, it's not.
Very technical.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Our herd has plenty more to say.
I'm going to give you some cow facts. I think we should do a few cow facts now and again. Cows, I never really thought of this, but they can almost see 360 degrees around them. I know that their eyes are like on the side of their heads. A bit like yourself, Lee.
Yes.
They can see 360 degrees. I didn't actually know that. Okay.
They have tunnel vision, don't they? That's correct, isn't it? Don't cows have tunnel vision? Yeah.
I know that they can smell you from about...
Can we Google this? Can we Google this while
Go
we're
on.
it?
Whilst you're Googling it, I'll tell you I think they can smell you from about 6 miles away.
Wow.
A bit like horses, they can hear your heartbeat from about 4 miles away. So they said. So they say, I don't know how true it is. They also sleep standing up, and they do a thing where they also sleep in small intervals throughout the day, and that's known as polyphasic sleep, which Tom's a big fan of. Farmer Tom's a massive fan. So now I know what the word for it is, because, I've often, when he's gone up the field in the tractor and it stopped, you ever walk up with the dogs and there he is having a snooze. In the middle of the day. I've caught him a few times over the years. So I think my husband has polyphasic sleep, which is quite interesting. And what was my other? Oh, yeah, everybody talks, don't they? People will say a cow's got 4 stomachs. A cow doesn't have 4 stomachs. It has 1 stomach with 4 chambers.
Wow. That first fact is one fact that I tell a lot of people, because when we're moving cows, it's important to remember that they have one of the best peripheral visions of any animal. So when we're trying to move them, or where you're standing is so important because
you know what, Dave, you're spot on with this. Now just read out why. Cows have panoramic vision and they have 300 degrees vision and can see everything except what is directly behind them. Yeah. They are colourblind to red and green colours. So spot on, mate.
Yeah,
how would you find out if they're colourblind to red and green? How do you know that? Who found that out and how did they find it out?
Google.
But it is important that, because when we see people moving cows, they often just stand behind them and tap them on the back, and that cow must be thinking, who the heck is tapping me?
Oh, it could startle her, couldn't it?
Yeah.
If she doesn't see you coming and she's just in her own little world, like you would if you was just busy doing something in your own little world and someone come and patted you on the back. What was that?
Yeah.
I think we should, and I think we should do, because we need to appreciate, I know in cow signals, we do a lot of stuff about that, because they're a flight or fight animal, aren't they?
Yeah.
Fight or fly, aren't they, cows? And, cow signals is really important, and that's how I learned about cows with their peripheral. Say it, Dave.
Peripheral.
Thank you. So Leigh, going back to sort of your industry, if you've got people who don't know, after listening to this, it's going to make them interested. They probably think, forget that. But if, for instance, we have sort of inspired somebody to do some cow chiropody, a career in cow chiropody. I think that's a good phrase.
I think that's a good term to use, Karen.
How would you sort of say to them, how would you advise? And do you think you need some more people in the industry? Do you think there's a lot of you? Have we got enough foot trimmers?
I feel there's not... People aren't educated enough on it.
Okay.
I feel there needs to be more done in certain colleges on agricultural courses.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's a big welfare case in the cow world.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't got a cow that can walk, then how's she ever meant to milk or be healthy?
We're doing her a disservice, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's her right, surely, to be sound.
And this is really sad, but there will be some people that don't quite understand mobility in cows, and maybe on those certain farms, the mobility isn't where it should be. And it's really it's not their fault. It's because they haven't been educated.
Yeah. And going back, we joked about you being expensive. You are expensive. But from that point of view, we don't see it we see it as an investment.
Absolutely.
In all fairness, it is an investment. It's not a cost.
And I think we're at that place in our relationship now where even if I didn't trim cows, you'd still pay me just for coming here twice a month, wouldn't you?
Well, I would, because you keep my herdsman really happy.
I think we just touch those happy spots, don't we,
Yeah,
Karen?
we do. Yeah. You and Dave do. I'm not touching any spots with either of them. Can I just clarify that?
So
these two are always touching spots with one another. And what were you doing at the British Farming Awards? I seem to remember you were doing that thing where you wrap your arms round one another
we shared a drink,
and shared dessert.
Yeah.
No, it was dessert.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you were romantically
Kaz hasn't forgot it.
eating one another's desserts.
about that,
I forgot it. I've got pictures.
Oh, yeah.
I've got pictures, boys.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put those on your OnlyFans. Maybe I'll put those on my OnlyFans.
I was trying to think.
But so education is a big thing. So if someone's doing something bad in a workplace, it doesn't mean that it's probably that it's not always that individual, because maybe it's just they need educating. And this is something that me and Karen very recently spoke quite strongly about, haven't we? About maybe going into these places and willingly educating people.
Yeah.
Currently, there's no apprenticeships running to get people into hoof trimming, but the Cattle Hoofcare Standards Board, that I'm part of, I am part of that board. We are looking into getting apprenticeship schemes up and running. We just need a college willing to take it on as well with us.
Yeah.
And we are very close to crossing that line, very close. So
Brilliant.
Hopefully next time we talk on this podcast, I'll be able to reveal more.
Yeah.
And for now, I would advise anyone that's wanting to get into the industry is look on social media. Social media is so huge now. Type in hoof trimmers, and it'll come up with loads of names. It will. Watch some videos. If you're unsure whether it's right or wrong, look on the Cattle Hoofcare Standards Board, and there'll be a list of qualified trimmers on there, a level 4 qualified trimmer. And there's all the contact details there. Get in touch with one of them, and I assure you, all trimmers are friendly and willing to talk to you. I assure you that.
Yeah.
We'll always welcome other people into this industry because there's so much work out there.
I can't believe it. People come into the milk shack. They'll tell me that they've been watching somebody trim cows' feet on Facebook or TikTok, or there's loads come and tell me they're doing it. And
loads of people.
They have nothing to do with cows, only when they come here, and they found it fascinating.
I'll tell you what,
And
they like seeing the pus come out of the foot.
I know. And you know what, Dave? We shouldn't really be seeing those videos because a cow should not get to that stage where she's got pus coming out of her foot.
True,
So, it makes for good footage and gets these views, but we shouldn't be seeing them.
No.
And that wouldn't be the norm. On a lot of farms you go, that's not the norm, is it?
That's not the norm at all. It's not the norm. But it gets views. People have done very well out of it. And that, again, there's a bit... I'm going on about education and watch these videos kind of thing. And you should, because nobody really knew what hoof trimming was until these videos came out. So you got to salute one huge figure on YouTube, which I'm sure everyone knows, that's come out and done these videos just to educate people. And if people want to show a bit more interest, and get in touch with the Cattle Hoofcare Standards Boards. Just type that in on Google, Yahoo, and find out your nearest trimmer to you. But it is a fascinating world, and not everyone can just do it.
Yeah. And you've got that thing of you go to lots of different places as well. So I know you worked at home and it was kind of your safety zone and you didn't want to change. But, you go out on a lot of different farms, don't you, every week?
I do.
And see different systems and different places. You meet different people. So socially, it's got to be great. Just going around and meeting all those different farms and seeing all those different systems. And then what I want you to do is when you're around there and you see people doing it better than us, can you please come home and tell me?
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anything that works.
That's probably
Come and tell me what
99% of my farms that are doing that, Karen.
Oh, right, great.
So we've got a lot to talk about. But no, I'm only joking. This farm is fantastic. And I put it out there, it is in the top 2 of lameness mobility score.
Top 2?
Top 2.
Top 2. I want to be top 1, Dave.
Yeah,
we don't do 2, do we? No, we want 1 consistently.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to be the top 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave and I aren't good at coming second or no, we're not good at anything like that. We have to come first every time.
So I've heard. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. I always do a bit of a inspirational quote. This week,
inspirational quotes, Leigh.
Farmer Tom's inspirational quote. I think it's more of a warning, actually. All of your actions, good or bad, every day, go on to affect someone else. I think that's for the staff.
Very good.
I think he's trying to tell everybody.
I'm just in shock that came from Tom. Does he always do the inspirational quotes, does he?
No, does he? He usually looks them off on the internet.
Has he been reading a book just lately?
No, he doesn't read. He can't read. What are you on about?
Listen to an audio book.
No, he snores worse than a dog if he starts reading. He just falls asleep.
What's your quote of the week, Leigh?
Yeah, come on, Leigh. Let's have an inspirational quote from Leigh.
I think.
So I've given Farmer Tom's this week.
Yeah.
But I think, Leigh, are you up for giving us an inspirational quote?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on then.
Behaviour exists because we allow it to.
That's a good one, that, Leigh.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, so I think we'll wrap up for today. I've actually got my cheeks are aching from all the laughing, and also Dave sat with a tray of cakes in front of him, so I need to eat some cake. So to hear and see more about what Leigh does at Halton Farms with our beautiful girls and this comedy duo in action, Dave and Leigh, we've done some videos, so we're going to...
Anyway, it has to be Dave and Leigh, why it's not Leigh and Dave, but carry on.
We're going to put some videos of the cows actually having their tootsies done out on social media. So as usual on our Facebook, we've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and the website. So if you just look Halton Farms, and especially Halton Farms at the Milk Shack, you can see all the work that Leigh does when he comes to trim the cows.
And how good looking he really is.
Yeah, we'll have some comments on that.
Stop
Is he
it,
really?
You're making me blush.
Is he really that good looking, or will be revealed?
Let's let the listeners judge it when they see me. But I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me on, Karen and Dave. We have quite a close relationship anyway, don't we? But it's just, I think it's a great thing what you do with this podcast, and like we was going on about educating a lot. I think this is certainly a podcast to listen to be educated. Even I listened to one a couple of weeks ago and I learned about a couple of different things. So,
there you have it. And that's from the man that knows everything. We've taught him something, Dave.
Yes, unbelievable, but true.
Our job here is done. Oh, no, thanks, Leigh. It's been good fun.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
Thank you. Halton Farms is a dairy farm based in the heart of Cheshire, milking 500 cows and calving all year round. We love what we do and invite you to pop down to the Milk Shack anytime to have a look around. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please remember to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all our future episodes.
Chewing the Cud with Karen and Dave, your insiders at Halton Farms, British Farming Awards Dairy Farmer of the Year.
Stay up to date with everything that's happening at Halton Farms by following our social channels. All links are available in the show notes. And remember, we are social cows.